Hello, Legacy Savers, Marsh here. So today we're going to be talking about how to graph and write circles. You may want, or you're going to want your conics foldable, some form of writing utensil, and then maybe a calculator that can do maybe some square roots would be the all that you would need. Um, First, let's talk about conic sections and what they are. Basically the entirety of this unit. A conic section is just a curved that's been formed by an intersection of a plane with a right circular cone. There are four things that exist. We can get an ellipse, a circle, a parabola, or a hyperbola. A circle is when a plane is intersecting a cone parallel to its base. So, like right here, you'll see it right there. Perfect circle. Ellipse is when the plane is intersecting the cone at an angle. So you're going to have one side that's bigger. Ellipse, you might have heard that called an oval as well. Parabolas is when you are intersecting just one side of this cone. And then a hyperbola is when your plane is dissecting both sides of the cone, but it's not going through the middle, creating basically two parabolas on there. They do exist sometimes in real life, especially circles and parabolas are very common in real life and modeling that real life. Ellipses kind of sometimes do show up, hyperbolas not as much. However, these are very interesting different kinds of sections, conics, graphs. We can't call them functions because all of these are not functions any longer, but they are very interesting. Thus, we are taking a peek at them in our class this year. First thing we want to talk about is circles. Parts of a circle. Well, there exists the center. I know, the middle of the circle. We also exist the radius. Now remember, the radius is the center to end point on the circle. It's half the diameter. Those are the two very important parts of a circle that we want to be able to identify when we are graphing these things. And the standard form of our circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. H and k are the center of the circle. I don't know why it's H and K, why they picked those letters, who knows. But that is the center. Notice it's going to be opposite. So just because it's negative H here, this is a positive H. R is also the radius. So notice in the equation, though, it's going to be r squared, not the r. So we do actually have to identify the r squared when we're finding it. Let's actually graph one of these, shall we? So first thing, I'm going to find out, notice, nothing is with the x and the y. There's no parentheses. Well, what's the center then? There's no h, no k. Well, couldn't this be x plus 0 squared, right? So theoretically, my center is 0, 0. So I'm going to put a big giant dot on the graph right there. There we go. And the radius, we're going to square root, because remember, this is r squared over here. So let's square root. So we're going to do the square root of 12 for radius. Well, let's simplify that. Square root of 4 times the square root of 3, which would be 2 square roots of 3. Now you're like, well, Marsh, that's wonderful. But what is square root of 12? Well, I know that the square root of 12 has to be between 3 and 4. And here's how I know that. I know that the square root of 9 is 3, and I know the square root of 16 is 4, right? And we know that square root of 12 has to be in the middle somewhere. So I'm going to guess that the decimal is very close to 3.5 roughly. However, on our calculator, we also could find out what the square root of 12 is. We get 3.5, just like Marsh kind of guessed there. So we can say that that is roughly 3.5. That way we can graph it. Once I get this radius value, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go out, left, right, up, and down that value of the radius. So I'm going to go up 3.5, right 3.5, down 3.5, and left 3.5. And then I'm going to connect those dots to the best of my ability. Trust me, my circles are definitely not circular. That was actually not that bad. Did pretty good that time. But that's my circle. Not terrible, right? Graphing of circles, I actually kind of enjoy. They're kind of easy to do. Let's try the next one. So this guy actually has values inside the parentheses. So I need to convert those. Now, again, remember, it's opposite of what you see. So since we see x plus 2, our x value of our center is going to be a negative 2. And same thing for our y's. We're going to get a negative 3. And then we're going to take the square root of this value because it's r squared. So we're going to get 6. So let's graph that center. Negative 2, negative 3. And then I'm going to go 6 up, down, left, and right. Ooh, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, we're going to connect the dots to the best of our ability and try to make it kind of look like a circle. Kind of, not too bad. Let's try another one. Again, let's find the center. Notice the x doesn't have anybody, so that is going to have to be a 0. But for the y, it is opposite of what we see. We see a negative 1. We're going to put a positive 1. And then let's square root. So we're going to get 8 for the radius. So let's graph that. 0, 1's my center. Let's go up, down, left, and right. 8. So that would be right here. That would be right here. That would be right here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be right there. Connect my dots. Oh, that was a little wiggly wobbly. Not terrible. For this fourth graph, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try it for yourself, and see if you can get the right answer. Then I'll show you the answer here in a little bit. Did you pause it? Pause the video. Make sure you pause it. All right, I waited long enough. Hopefully you paused. My center should be 4, negative 1. My radius is the square root of 20, which is also 2 square roots of 5, which is, square root of 20, that's got to be like 4.5 roughly, because it's between 16 and 25. So I'm going to go 4, negative, that's 3, negative 1, Marsh. 4, negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. And then 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. There's my circle. Now, let's go the backwards. Let's say I want you to write the equation of a circle. The humanity, right? Well, we need two things, right? We need to write the equation of a circle. We need the center and we need the radius, right? Those are the two things that are in there. So let's identify both of them from this graph over here. Well, I immediately can find the center. It is 5, 1. So let's make notes of that. It is 5, 1. The radius then, if I count out from that, is this value right here. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a value of 4. So my radius is 4. So now let's write the equation out. We always know it's x blah, 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 squared plus y blah, 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 squared equals something squared, right? The things on the inside are our center. So we're going to go x minus 5 and y minus 1. That's my center. And then remember, it was always our radius squared. So in our case, 4 squared. I'm going to rewrite this so that 4 squared actually is the value that it is, since it is simplification, or able to be simplified. So 4 squared is 16. This is the equation of that graph over there. Pretty simple, right? Once you find the center and the radius, it's pretty easy. Now, this one, they got rid of the graph. Oh no. But notice what they gave us. They gave us the center and they gave us the radius. They were so nice. They gave us everything we needed. So let's just write out our template. We know it's x something squared plus y something squared equals something squared, right? Well, my center is 9, negative 4. So I can go x minus 9, y plus 4, right? Because it's opposite of what you see. And then I got 2 square root of 7 squared, because 2 square root of 7, 2 times the square root of 7 is the radius. Well, I got to simplify this right-hand side. So let's have a conversation over here. What is 2 square root of 7 squared? Well, remember, squared means so nice, better write that thing twice, right? So let's write that thing twice. Let's multiply the outsides and the insides together. So 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is the square root of 49. Well, square root of 49 is just 7, right? 4 times 7 is 28. So I can rewrite that side and then just fill in the left. Done. Mr. Calculator also can do 2 squared to 7 squared. Just be very careful that you put that in parentheses. Otherwise, you will get 14. That is not the answer that you were looking for. Now, they're going to make us write an equation given the center of 1, -7, or -1, 7, and a point on the circle of 9, 10. Hold up. They didn't give me the radius. What meanie pantses. Let's do a quick little sketch. What does this look like? Well, -1, 7, roughly there, right? 9, 10 is like here. So that must mean that my circle's doing something like that. I then, since this is a center, doesn't look like it because I'm a terrible drawer, but that must mean right here, connecting those two dots, that would have to be the radius, right? Because that's the point on the circle. So I know the center to any point on the circle would be the radius value. Well, let's write what we got. Well, I do know my template, right? The template's the same thing for every single one of these. I do know my center, so let's plug that in. I don't know my radius. What do I want to do? Oh, I could find the distance between that dot and that other dot. I could use the distance formula. But I have an ordered pair, right? 9, 10. That's an X and a Y, isn't it? So couldn't I just plug that in for X and Y? And if I did that, I would just have R left, and I could solve for it. Let's try it. So let me plug in my X. Let me plug in my Y. Now I just have one variable. Let's solve for the radius. So I got 10 squared plus 3 squared is equal to R squared. So 100 plus 9 is R squared, or 109 is R squared. Whew. I didn't even have to use the distance formula. Now, I don't need to know what R is. I just needed R squared because we're writing the equation, right? So let's plug that back in to the equation. And I get 109. Perfect. Let's try another one. The last one of the night. Let's write the equation given endpoints of the diameter, -4, 7, and -8, -17. Okay, let's do a little sketch again. -4, 7 is something up there. -8, -17 is down there. So endpoints of the diameter mean that is edges of the circle, right? And somewhere in the middle exists the center. I did not get the center, and I did not get a radius. They were super mean. They took away all of my information this time. So somehow I need to find the middle of those two dots, right? The middle. It's too bad there's not a formula to find the middle of two dots, or a midpoint formula. Doesn't that exist? A midpoint formula? I think we did it in geometry. Midpoint of two ordered pairs. And you know what? I think the formula for that was x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. This is a super important formula. That is something that you should definitely get knocked into that noggin for you. So that way you can find the midpoint / center of two dots. Let's find it. So -4 minus 8, right? Because it's plus a negative 8. I just want the double sign to be dealing with it. 7 minus 17 over 2. So I'm going to get negative 12 over 2 and negative 10 over 2. So my center, aka midpoint, is negative 6, negative 5. I'm going to make notes. That is my center. Now, I can write the equation of my circle, or at least start. X plus 6 squared plus y plus 5 squared is equal to, I don't have the radius, r squared. But I have two ordered pairs. So I can pick either of these two ordered pairs they gave me and plug that in for x and y. Now, Marsh is going to be a chicken. She's not going to plug in the right-hand one. She's going to plug in the left because I don't want to mess with negative 17. That seems like a big number. So I'm going to plug in negative 4 plus 6 squared. 7 plus 5 squared is equal to r squared. 2 squared plus 12 squared is equal to r squared. That would be 4. I know, kind of running out of room, right? 148 is what we're getting for that. Final answer, because we got to write it all out. 148. Done. So circles, they are the easiest conic section that we will be looking at. We will be graphing them and writing them. So making sure that you have that midpoint formula and making sure that you can basically find the center and the radius of each of these equations are the most important thing. I will see you in class and see you later, Sabers.